Imagine a world where religion isn't really about, ancient texts or strict doctrines or even temple walls.
Oh, yeah.
What if instead it was this profound, joyful, really personal connection to the universe,
Okay.
found through, well, the amazing act of creation and that sort of universal feeling we get through art?
Mm-hmm. A different kind of spirituality.
Exactly. So today we're embarking on a really illuminating journey. It's a deep dive into an essay by one of the 20th century's truly brilliant minds, Rabindranath Tagore.
Ah, Tagore.
Yeah, his work, The Religion of an Artist. And it offers this radical and beautiful answer to that very
And
question.
this isn't just, an academic look at art history or philosophy. Not at all.
Right.
Tagore's essay gives us this revolutionary way of thinking, not just about creativity, but about our fundamental place in, well, existence itself. He
Mm.
really challenges us, to rethink the standard definitions of spirituality and creativity, and it shows them as deeply linked, intrinsically.
So our mission today is basically to unpack Tagore's ideas, his vision, and we're going straight to his own words.
Yeah, the source itself.
We've pulled together some really fascinating excerpts. They'll let us explore how an artist's unique view can be like a direct line to the divine.
A conduit.
Exactly. Offering insights into, well, the nature of reality itself. So prepare for maybe some surprising ideas and perhaps a few moments where you might feel your own perspective shift a bit.
And what's really great about this deep dive, I think, is that our sources aren't, someone else's interpretation or analysis.
No secondhand stuff.
Right. We're going straight to Tagore's own philosophical thoughts from his essay.
Direct access.
Exactly. And that lets us really sort of immerse ourselves in how he thought, see how he masterfully weaves together these really personal experiences with universal truths about humanity, creation, spiritual life. It's almost like listening to the man himself.
Okay, so stepping into Tagore's world, it's obvious he wasn't just, born in a bubble.
Not at all.
His birth in 1861, Bengal, puts him smack dab in the middle of several really powerful movements that were shaping things.
That confluence.
Yeah. What were these foundational forces, and how did they sort of set the stage for his really unique philosophy of art and spirit?
Well, to really get to Gore's philosophy, you absolutely have to understand the vibrant background he came from.
Mm-hmm.
Late 19th century Bengal. It was a real crucible of change.
Okay.
And three major movements kind of converged and really shaped his view of the world.
Three movements.
The first was a powerful religious movement. He was spearheaded by someone Tagore really admired, described him as a great-hearted man of gigantic intelligence,
Wow.
Raja Ramahan Roy.
Ah, Ramahan Roy.
Heard of him? Right. Now, Roy wasn't trying to start a new sect or, lay down rigid rules. He was a genuine revolutionary of the spirit.
Oh, okay.
Someone who, as Tagore put it, tried to reopen the channel of spiritual life that had become obstructed by sand and debris of creeds.
Wow, great image, sand and debris.
Isn't it? Think about it. Centuries of ritual, superstition, narrow thinking, they'd basically choked the life out of spiritual inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
Roy's movement was about clearing that stuff away. He urged people to get past these time-honored walls of tradition.
Break them down.
Yeah, and foster a real, genuine love of truth. He wanted them to open their enclosure, their closed-off minds and hearts, and flood it with the sunshine of thought and the breath of life.
Like opening the windows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tagore saw this as a crucial forward movement, dynamic, alive, seeking real spiritual meaning, totally opposed to the rigid, static, warehouse security of belief systems that just store old doctrines.
Warehouse security. Love that.
It's the difference between, say, a flowing river teeming with life and a stagnant pond, right?
Yeah, definitely.
This focus on an active, living spirituality free from just external rules that really resonated deeply with Tagore.
Okay, that's a powerful starting point, the spiritual awakening, pushing past dogma. So what was the second major influence shaping things?
The second was a really strong political and social movement. Tagore mentions, quite proudly actually, that his own father, Rabindranath Tagore,
His father's.
yes, was one of the great leaders of that movement. Now, this wasn't just about changing laws, in the usual political sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was more about individuals having the moral backbone, the courage to stand up for their principles against huge societal pressure.
Okay.
His father, for example, faced a lot of ostracism, social indignities, but he stood firm for his beliefs and reforms.
Wow.
And this gave Tagore, right from a young age, this deep sense of principled dissent, willingness to challenge things, to be authentic, even if it meant being unpopular or isolated.
So a tradition of standing your ground.
Absolutely. That readiness to be an outlier, to follow an inner truth no matter what others think, that's a thread you see running right through his life and work.
And the third major force in this creative melting pot.
That would be a pretty significant literary revolution, mostly led by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee.
Okay, Tatter.
Tagore calls him the first pioneer in this awakening of Bengali literature. Before Chatterjee, Tagore felt Bengali literature was almost, well, he said, it choked its life.
Choked.
Yeah, burdened by these ponderous forms loaded with ornaments that became its fetters, like it was weighed down.
Mm.
He saw it suffering from an orthodoxy that created this sense of finality which can only belong to the lifeless, like it was dead on arrival.
Static.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating is how Tagore describes Chatterjee's impact. He said Chatterjee lifted the dead weight of ponderous forms from our language with a touch of his magic wand.
A magic wand. Nice.
He revitalized the language, made it dynamic, alive, capable of real, free expression. And this liberation of the language itself directly influenced Tagore's own ideas about art.
Oh, so.
Well, the idea that the medium itself, the language or the paint or whatever, has to be alive and responsive to the artist's unique inner voice, not just a set of rules to follow.
Right, that makes sense. Which brings us to another influence you mentioned, maybe less obviously political, but just as important, the national movement. How did that weave itself into Tagore's thinking? It sounds more cultural.
You're right, it was deeply cultural. The national movement, as Tagore saw it, wasn't just political in the narrow sense, but it gave a powerful voice to the mind of our people trying to assert their own personality.
Gaining their own voice.
Precisely. It was a movement that aroused our literature from her age-long sleep, promising this new era of beauty and grace in how they express themselves.
Okay.
At its core, it was a voice of impatience at the humiliation they felt, basically, rejecting the colonial mindset that had imposed foreign standards and judgment.
Pushing back against them.
Yeah. Tagore talks about rejecting those who were not Oriental and who had divided the human world into the good and the bad according to the hemispheres to which they belong.
Us versus them.
Exactly. This contentious spirit of separatedness, he felt, was perpetually hurting our own world of culture. It stifled authentic expression and just encouraged imitation.
So it was a really profound cultural pushback then, reclaiming identity against this sort of colonial arrogance and artistic copying.
Absolutely. And it went deeper than just saying no to the outside. It rejected what Tagore called gaudy oleographs, those superficial, maybe brightly colored copies that lacked real depth.
Ah, okay. Cheap reproductions.
Sort of. And also the mechanical accuracy of a stereotype standard that was often imposed or copied from the West.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, this movement was passionately arguing for true originality, trying to express the rhythm of the essential in the heart of reality.
The rhythm of the essential. I like that.
It's beautiful, isn't it? And it was fundamentally non-reactionary, meaning it wasn't just against something foreign, it was for something authentic, something inherent to their own culture.
Proactive, not just reactive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It aimed for great courage to deny and to oppose all pride in mere borrowings. This wasn't just simple nationalism, it was a deep spiritual and artistic quest to rediscover and assert their own authentic identity, recognizing that real beauty and truth come from within, not from copying others.
Wow.
It taught Tagore the huge importance of genuine self-expression over just adapting or imitating.
Okay, so given this incredible mix of revolutionary ideas, spiritual, social, literary, national lunch-worries, how did all this actually shape Tagore himself? His personal journey, his unique identity as an artist and thinker?
It really was an extraordinary upbringing. He was born and grew up right in this atmosphere of the confluence of three movements, all of which were revolutionary.
Imagine that environment.
Right, surrounded by all these dynamic shifts in thinking, all questioning the old ways, striving for deeper truths. And he explicitly says he lived his own life. He wasn't just inheriting ideas. He was actively seeking guidance for my own self-expression and my own inner standard of judgment. That self-directed search for authenticity was key for him.
His own inner standard.
Yes, and his chosen medium, of course, was my mother tongue, Bengali. But he stressed that he felt it was modulated according to the urge which I as an individual had.
So he wasn't just using Bengali.
No, he was shaping it, bending it to fit his unique inner vision rather than just conforming to how it already existed.
That's fascinating.
It raises that fundamental question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do you forge your own unique identity, your own voice, when you're surrounded by such powerful external forces and traditions.
Yeah.
Tagore didn't just absorb these influences. He took them in, synthesized them, and then, through his own genius, transformed them into something completely new, deeply personal.
Like rivers joining.
Exactly like that.
Uh,
Several vibrant streams merging, creating a powerful, unique river that carries the essence of where it came from, but flows with its own distinct current.
you highlighted his emphasis on his own medium. That seems absolutely central to his whole religion of an artist idea. What did he really mean by that, and what was he pushing back against?
His commitment to being authentic here was just total. He famously said, "No poet should borrow his medium ready-made from some shop of orthodox respectability."
Shop of orthodox respectability.
Great phrase, isn't it? But it's more than just clever wording. It's a deep statement against artistic conformity, against intellectual laziness, really.
Yeah.
He believed every artist has his own distinct medium of language, his own make. It's not just about picking words from a dictionary or notes off a scale.
Oh.
It's about shaping the very core of the language or whatever art form it is, so it becomes a special vehicle of his own creation. It implies this really deep, almost organic link between the artist's inner self and how they express it.
So what was he pushing back against then?
Art that was just derivative,
I know.
or followed rules just because, or was merely decorative. He saw a real danger in artists just adopting existing forms or popular styles without pouring their own unique inner truth into them. For Tagore, that kind of borrowed art, it lacks soul. It becomes just a product, something from that shop, not an organic expression of a living spirit.
Right.
The cost of just conforming, he thought, was losing your genuine artistic voice. And if you lose that, you lose the path to deeper truth. This commitment to inner truth over just the outer form, that's a cornerstone of his whole philosophy.
And that insight seems to go beyond just the artistic medium, doesn't it? He seemed to broaden that idea into a critique of society's tendencies towards the purely physical, materialistic. What was his big concern there?
Oh, absolutely. His concern was, well, almost prophetic. And it resonates so much with challenges we see today. Tagore argued that purely physical dominance is mechanical.
Mechanical.
Yeah, when we prioritize only the material stuff, the things we can count and measure, the outward things, we reduce life to just a set of mechanical operations.
Like cogs in a machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this kind of dominance, he saw, merely exaggerates our bodies, lengthening and multiplying our limbs. But there's no real growth of spirit, no depth. Think about modern technology. We create tools that extend our physical power, like crazy faster travel, instant communication, huge data processing.
Right.
But if that physical extension isn't matched by growth in wisdom or compassion or inner understanding, it becomes what he called inordinate material power. And that's little more than a big toy and no sentiment which can disturb it.
A big toy. Power without purpose.
Power without purpose, a tool without a soul. That's it. He felt this focus on the physical and material turns people into mere warehouse security,
Ouch.
implying we just become guards of inert stuff rather than cultivators of living spirit. The modern mind, obsessed with the material, risks representing inanimate childishness.
Inanimate childishness. That's a strong critique.
It is. It's not that wealth or tech are bad in themselves, but when they become the only focus, they lead to this profound loss of inner life. A shift from real, rich experience to just accumulating and guarding physical goods.
So he's basically saying when we overemphasize material power and stuff, we lose something really fundamental about being human, our capacity for deeper meaning.
Precisely. He argued that a society fixated only on physical existence, relying just on external forces and material foundations, risks becoming moribund, dying from within, losing its vitality, its spiritual strength. Such a society, sticking strictly to a doctrine of the physical, would have nothing truly deep to fall back on when material things inevitably change or fail.
Right.
He was warning against this kind of spiritual and existential drying up that comes from prioritizing the shell over the core. I mean, think about today. Despite all our material wealth and technology, so many societies grapple with this deep spiritual emptiness, anxiety, disconnection.
Yeah, you see that.
Tagore would argue that's a direct result of relying too much on the doctrine of the physical.
So this critique of the mechanical, the materialistic, how did his own experiences with formal education, which you touched on earlier, kind of reinforce these views for him?
Oh, his personal experience was really formative and definitely a bit rebellious. Tagore admitted quite openly that he began my life as a poet, not through normal schooling, but through this very intuitive, self-guided way.
Right.
He found the traditional English textbooks which poured upon them lessons that did not fully saturate their minds. He found them just inadequate, stifling even.
They didn't stick.
Exactly. They offered facts, maybe, but not inspiration. He craved a living magic touch that could spark his understanding, his imagination, not just academic training, which he felt just filled the head but didn't nourish the soul.
The magic touch.
Yeah. He even playfully called his literary journey a vagabondage.
A vagabonded.
Yeah, implying this wandering, self-directed exploration rather than just rigidly following a syllabus.
Okay.
But this wasn't about being undisciplined. It came from this deep recognition that real learning, real expression, comes from inside, from an authentic connection with life, not from having things imposed on you or memorizing by rote. And significantly, he mentions his father, remember?
Yeah, the leader of the religious movement.
Exactly. His father was the leader of a new religious movement, a strict monotheism based upon the teachings of the Upanishads. This deep-rooted belief system, grounded in ancient Indian wisdom that emphasizes the inner spirit, the unity of everything,
Right.
that gave him this powerful alternative framework, intellectually and spiritually. It was a philosophy that naturally clicked with his artistic side, offering a path to truth beyond the materialistic or purely rational approaches that were common in the education of his time.
So it gave him another way to see things.
Absolutely. You can think of it like the difference between a factory assembly line,
Right.
designed for mechanical, repetitive output, every product the same, no individual character,
Okay.
versus a skilled potter shaping clay on a wheel. The potter brings not just technique, but a deep connection, a unique feeling and understanding of the clay. Every touch shapes something new, distinct, reflecting their inner vision.
Ah, I see the contrast.
Tagore wanted that potter's touch in life and art. He rejected the assembly line approach to knowledge and existence.
Okay, so if Tagore's religion isn't about traditional dogma, it's not about sterile materialism, what is it then? How does art actually become this profound spiritual expression for him? This is where the title, The Religion of an Artist, really comes alive, right?
It absolutely does. And he defines it with this striking simplicity, but also profound depth. He says, my religion is essentially a poet's religion.
A poet's religion.
Yeah, he clarifies that it touches him through the same unseen and trackless channels as does the inspiration of my music.
Unseen channels, like intuition.
Exactly. An
Yeah.
intuitive, non-intellectual way of understanding and connecting. It's not about following some prescribed path, but experiencing a mysterious line of growth. Much like the organic, unpredictable, but deeply meaningful way his own poetic life unfolded. For Tagore, this spiritual path is marked by an enduring sense of wonder. He feels he's blessed with that sense of wonder which gives a child his right of entry into the treasure house of mystery, which is in the heart of existence.
Wonder of a child.
Yes. And this poet's religion works through actively engaging with beauty and creation. The very act of creating or even just deeply appreciating art becomes a kind of spiritual practice. Through doing that, the artist starts to perceive the harmony, the unity in the world. They recognize the divine not as some external god, but as this animating principle of beauty and joy within existence itself.
So the divine is in the beauty.
Yes, that treasure house of mystery isn't hidden away somewhere. It's revealed in the vibrant interconnectedness of everything. And it's accessible through a mind that's open to wonder. The divine is reached through that profound emotional, intuitive recognition of beauty, which for Tagore is a manifestation of universal truth.
That leads us to that really pivotal moment he described, doesn't it? That specific aha moment that seems like the bedrock of this whole philosophy. Can you share that epiphany with us?
Yes, this personal story is absolutely central to understanding his religion of an artist. He talks about being 13 years old and feeling he'd freed myself from the clutch of an educational system.
Stone walls?
Exactly, where he felt imprisoned within the stone walls of lessons. The normal classroom, with its rigid structure, rote learning. It felt like being locked up. It was outside of that stifling place in a moment of just unburdened freedom that this profound shift happened in his awareness.
What happened?
He describes having this vague notion of the love of my mother's name, which somehow deepened into a deep satisfaction of personality that flowed into my nature through living channels of communication from all sides.
Wow. Living channels.
Yeah. What he experienced was this vibrant, unfiltered connection to the world around him. His consciousness was never dull about the facts of the surrounding world. Every sight, every sound became a direct communication.
Like what?
He saw a cloud, a flower, heard a bird, and he says they spoke to me.
Spoke to him.
Not like a metaphor for him. It was palpable, immediate, this joyful recognition of their intrinsic being, their living presence. He describes feeling a joy which was freedom, the freedom we feel in the love of our dear friend.
So this incredibly profound, liberating connection with nature that felt like pure freedom.
Precisely. And this is way more than just a lovely personal story. It's the absolute core of his philosophy.
Okay.
This experience of unity, this consciousness that was never dull, that's what empowers the artist, or really anyone who cultivates that kind of open awareness, to perceive the eternal truth.
And where does that truth reside?
It resides in the joy of the universal man who is the seer and the doer of all times and countries.
The universal man.
It's about recognizing that the singular fleeting beauty of a cloud or the perfection of a flower isn't just an isolated thing. It's a direct, tangible glimpse into a universal, interconnected truth.
Okay, I think I get that.
Think of it like a young child, right?
Mhm.
Completely absorbed, filled with total wonder at something simple, like a ladybug crawling on a leaf.
Yeah.
They see a whole world of magic, intricate patterns, living beauty in that tiny thing. An adult, though, might just analytically say, oh, an insect, and move on.
Right. Classify it and dismiss it.
Exactly. For Tagore, the child's unjaded wonder is closer to the essence of his religion, that immediate, joyful, deeply satisfying connection to the mystery at the heart of existence.
And the universal man.
That represents the sort of collective consciousness, the creative force that shows itself through all individual acts of seeing and doing and experiencing joy across all time and all cultures. It's the inherent truth of humanity's boundless potential for creation and connection.
So Tagore is suggesting the artist isn't just, painting what they see on the surface. They're actively transcending it to grasp something deeper. He uses that concept of Maya, often translated as illusion. How does the artist interact with Maya? Is it about breaking through it or working within it somehow?
This is such a crucial point for understanding how Tagore sees reality. He says, the world as an art is the play of the supreme person reveling in image-making.
The world is divine art.
Right there, he frames existence itself as a divine creative act. He acknowledges Maya, an image, but the nuance here is really important.
Okay.
In the common Western view, Maya is often seen as this deceptive illusion we need to overcome or see through.
Right. Peel back the curtain.
Kind of. But for Tagore, while Maya does refer to the changing phenomenal world, the world of forms and appearances, it's not inherently false or something just to be dismissed. It's more like the medium through which the infinite expresses itself.
The medium,
Mhm.
like the artist's paint.
That's a good way to think of it.
Yeah.
He notes that sometimes an image, a manifestation of Maya, is lost. Its finality, which has the touch of the infinite, is gone.
Meaning.
It implies that while the world appears as Maya, as this constantly changing temporary form, the artist's job isn't to deny Maya. It's to reveal the eternal truth within that appearance. It's not just about what's on the surface, but what it means in a deeper, more profound, ultimately unified way. The world is a divine play, and the artist is someone who understands the rules of that play and can show us its deeper significance.
So it's about finding the eternal, the meaningful, inside the temporary and seemingly illusory.
Precisely. The great artist, the Mayavan, the master of Maya, isn't hurt or fooled by Maya. They get its nature. It seems to be what it is. On the surface, they fully acknowledge the transient forms, but their creation isn't about evasiveness or just mockery of reality. Instead, it's about revealing the game of hide and seek that reality plays, its constant flight in changes, and finding the underlying unchanging truth within that constant transformation. The artist's work gives permanence and meaning to what's fleeting, revealing the universal in the particular.
Okay, this process of revelation, seeing the deeper truth, that brings us to a really fundamental concept for Tagore, rhythm. He talks about it as being essential. What's the key role of rhythm in the artist's ability to get beyond just the surface?
Rhythm is absolutely foundational to his entire philosophy of art and existence, really. He defines it by asking, what is rhythm? It is the movement generated and regulated by harmonious restriction.
Harmonious restriction. Interesting phrase.
Isn't it? And this is way more than just musical beat or poetic meter. It's the creative force in the hand of the artist, but it's also like a cosmic principle, a universal law of harmony and order.
Okay.
It's not just about, wanting reality or collecting facts. It's about how that reality is ordered, structured, expressed, so that its inherent beauty and truth are revealed.
How does it do that?
He beautifully illustrates its power. He says, the moment an object or an idea is taken and put into rhythm, they vibrate into a radiance.
Oh, vibrate into radiance.
Yeah. Think of just a chaotic jumble of sounds versus a symphony. The same notes might be there,
Hmm?
but organized by rhythm, they become something transcendent.
Right.
He used the example of a rose. It's the same rose, but it's rhythm, its inherent harmonious structure, its composition. That's what reveals its finality,
Hmm.
its ultimate meaning and beauty. The flower might look still, but because of its meter of composition, it has a lyric of movement within that stillness.
A lyric of movement within stillness.
It implies that the structure, the flow, the harmonious arrangement of parts in art or in life itself, that's what lets the deeper essential truth shine through, beyond just the bare facts of its existence. Without rhythm, there's just chaos. With it, there's profound meaning.
Can you give another example?
Sure. Think about the difference between just a quick snapshot, an unposed photo of someone,
Okay.
and a portrait painted by a master artist. The photo captures the likeness, the fleeting moment, the fact.
Right.
But the painting, through its composition, the way light and shadow play, the brushstrokes themselves, its inherent rhythm, captures the essence, the spirit, the truth of that person's character. A truth that goes beyond just that one moment.
I see.
Or a musician takes notes that seem separate and through rhythm and melody create something cohesive and deeply moving. And this idea extends beyond art for Tagore. A society or an individual loses its rhythm when it falls into discord, when its actions aren't harmoniously lined up with universal principles of truth and beauty.
Like social injustice.
Exactly. Social injustice, huge economic gaps, or even just an individual's inner turmoil, these all signal a fundamental disharmony, a loss of that inherent lyric of movement that defines a meaningful existence.
That's a profound way to think about rhythm, much broader than just art. Now, Tagore makes this really important distinction between the kind of truth we find in science, or logic, and the truth we find in art. How are they different? And why is this distinction so critical for understanding his religion of an artist?
Oh, this distinction is absolutely critical. It really highlights the unique thing that artists contribute to human understanding. For Tagore, science and logic, they mostly deal with facts, with what he calls the obverse side of the mintage.
The other side of the coin.
Exactly. Science gives you one side, the measurable, observable data. It aims for objective definition, for classification, for understanding how things work. He says trying to define something like character through just that logical lens is difficult because it's comprehended in a special grouping of aspects which gives it an irresistible impetus.
What's he getting at there?
I think he means that science, while powerful, often breaks complex things down into isolated, analyzable bits. And this approach, while totally necessary for some things, can lead to a kind of militant fashion, a rigid sticking to only what's verifiable, or maybe a focus on what's unevenly loud and cheaply lurid. You know, art or ideas that are flashy, superficial, designed for quick, uncritical appeal rather than real substance.
So science gives facts, but might miss the deeper meaning.
Or the inner life, yeah. That's where art comes in.
Okay, so art offers a completely different kind of truth then, a deeper kind for him.
Yes, much deeper, more holistic. With art, he says, truth of our expression, we grow in truth.
Art isn't just about copying reality.
It's an active back and forth process where the artist's creative soul engages with the world. It's not just a mechanical device for power or copying. Art is fundamentally about inner life.
Inner life.
Yeah. The artist, in this profound way, makes nature instinct with his own life and love. Meaning, the artist doesn't just observe. They infuse what they see with their own spirit, their emotions, their unique human viewpoint.
So they add something.
Definitely. Now, he does acknowledge that art can sometimes defeat nature, banish her from his world, deform and defile her with the ugliness of his ambitions, meaning art can be used for destructive or shallow ends.
Right.
But true art, as he sees it, is about expressing what's inherent, what's authentic, what resonates with that universal spirit, not just what's measurable or can be proven empirically. He even says that realism must not be shunned even if it be ragged and evil-smelling. But crucially, it must allow for the personality to be acknowledged in literature.
Personality must be acknowledged.
Yeah, it means art can, and maybe should, confront difficult, even ugly realities. But it has to do in a way that respects and reveals the human spirit within those realities, not just present, cold, detached facts. It's about seeing truth through the lens of human experience and emotion, creating this profound empathetic connection that pure logic often misses.
That's a really fascinating distinction. And building on that, Tagore makes this, well, truly remarkable leap. He suggests that human beings themselves are the ultimate expression of art, almost like living masterpieces. What does that profound idea mean for how we understand humanity? And what happens when we lose sight of that inherent artistic nature in ourselves?
This insight is, wow, maybe one of the most beautiful and also challenging parts of his philosophy.
Yeah.
He contrasts what he calls this world of man's own manufacture with its discordant shrieks and swagger. World shaped only by material ambition, lacking inner spirit.
Okay.
He contrasts that with a universe that then impresses on him the scheme of a universe which has no touch of the person. In other words, when humanity focuses only on creating external power structures, piling up wealth, designing systems that lack human warmth and artistic feeling, we inadvertently create a world that mirrors that soulless approach.
Yeah. Okay.
And that manufactured world, in turn, reflects back to us a universe that feels cold, impersonal, disconnected, simply because we've projected our own inner emptiness onto it.
Wow. That's powerful.
Isn't it? He powerfully implies that all great civilizations that have become extinct must have come to their end through such wrong expression of humanity.
So civilizations die not just from economics or war.
But when they lose their artistic soul, when they prioritize material gain over spiritual well-being, when they suppress individual expression and human connection,
Okay.
true humanity, by contrast, avoids what he calls parasitism on a gigantic scale bred by wealth, which sounds like a critique of gross inequality, right? Where a few thrive by exploiting the many, draining the life from the whole. It avoids man's clinging reliance on material resources as the only source of meaning. And it stands against a scoffing spirit of denial, that cynicism that just dismisses beauty, wonder, spiritual truth.
Right.
Tagore is basically saying when we lose our artistic spirit, our capacity for joy, creation, deep connection, we deform our true humanity. We become victims of our own soulless creations, and that leads to society decaying. He's saying our greatest art isn't just on canvases or in poems.
It's how we live.
Yes, it's in how we live, how we connect, how we create meaning together.
And to illustrate the crucial importance of that individual, unique expression within that, he uses that wonderful pebble bed analogy, right? Could you unpack that a bit? How does it show humanity as art?
Oh, the pebble bed analogy is brilliant. It really highlights the artistic value of personal, unclassifiable reality and contrasts it perfectly with those reductive tendencies of purely scientific or analytical thinking.
Okay.
He recalls this simple line sung by some primitive folk in our neighborhood, which I translate thus: "My heart is like a pebble bed hiding a foolish stream."
My heart is like a pebble bed hiding a foolish stream. It's beautiful.
It is, isn't it? To a poet, or anyone open to artistic expression, it's this evocative image. Hidden depths, unexpected flow, maybe a playful, untamed spirit inside. But then, Tagore imagines how a psychoanalyst might interpret it.
Oh boy.
Right. They might classify it as an instance of repressed desire and thus at once degrade it to a mere specimen advertising a supposed fact.
Degrade it to a specimen.
As it does a piece of coal, suspected of having smuggled within its dark the flaming wine of the sun of a forgotten age. It's such a poetic way of describing scientific reductionism itself.
So it's reducing this complex, poetic human expression to just a psychological diagnosis, stripping away its unique beauty, its artistic value. It does sound like flattening something profound.
Exactly. Tagore is arguing so strongly against that kind of reductionism. The psychoanalyst, using a scientific lens, might identify the underlying psychological fact like repressed desire. But, Tagore points out, while the facts of the repression of a desire are numerously common, he says, this particular expression is singularly uncommon.
The expression is unique even if the fact isn't.
Precisely. The scientific analysis might categorize the fact, but it completely misses the artistry of the expression. It turns a unique living poem into a mere specimen, just a piece of evidence for a theory. It strips it of its individual spark, its rhythm, its soul.
Yeah.
The artist's mind, or really any mind tuned into the religion of an artist, is touched not because it is a psychological fact, but because it is an individual poem, representing a personal reality belonging to all time and place in the human world.
Wow. A personal reality belonging to all time.
It's such a powerful statement about the inherent value of unique human experience and expression. It refuses to let that rich, unrepeatable reality get flattened into a scientific category or a diagnosis. Each person, with their inner streams and hidden depths, is a unique, unrepeatable work of art. And it's in appreciating that singularity that we grasp a deeper truth. Our value isn't in how neatly we fit a category, but in our distinct creative expression of being.
So how does Tagore finally connect this vision of individual expression, this idea of each unique person as a living work of art? How does he connect that back to the larger, overarching ideas of unity and eternal truth? What does it all mean in the grand scheme?
He brings it all together beautifully. He explains that through this artistic lens, through appreciating these unique individual expressions, some incontrovertible abstractions have assumed a concrete unity in its relation to us.
Imponderable abstractions
Like those vast, often hard-to-grasp concepts, universal love, truth, beauty, the interconnectedness of everything.
Yeah.
Art, whether it's a poem, a painting, a song, or a unique human life, provides the concrete form. The way these abstract truths become tangible, relatable to us. Art lets us perceive the self-introduction of the unity of reality.
the universe introducing itself through art.
In a way, yes. That the universe itself is revealing its inherent oneness through all these myriad forms.
Hmm.
He uses a lovely little poem to illustrate it, trying to remember it. Yes. Never seek to tell thy love, love that never told can be, for the gentle wind doth move, silently, invisibly.
Beautiful.
And he uses this to show how if we focus only on the parts, the grammar, its vocabulary, the words themselves, we can get disconnected from the deeper confession from the poem. The real power, the significance which is in unity, he says, is an eternal wonder.
It's like the whole is so much greater than the sum of its parts, and that whole is where the wonder is.
Precisely. The unity in a poem introduces itself in a rhythmic language and a gesture of character. And there's rhythm again. Crucial.
We're always back to rhythm.
Always. It's not just about blending words nicely. It's a significant adjustment of ideas in a music of thought produced by a subtle principle of distribution.
A musical thought.
Yeah. And this applies to all art and fundamentally to how we experience reality. It's the rhythm, the flow, the underlying unity and harmony that gives everything meaning and connects us to the infinite, to that universal spirit expressing itself in every unique creation.
Can you give one last example of that art versus science truth?
For sure. Think about a sunset.
Right.
A scientific description can tell you about wavelengths of light, atmospheric conditions, the physics of scattering. That's factual truth, important, useful.
Right.
But a painting or a poem about that same sunset, through its composition, its colors, its metaphors, its rhythm, evokes emotion, beauty, a sense of awe, a profound connection to something bigger. That emotional, unifying, deeply personal truth, that's what Tagore's religion of an artist is reaching for. It's embracing meaning over just mechanics, experience over dry facts.
Wow. We've really journeyed through Rabindranath Tagore's incredibly profound understanding of the religion of an artist. It's so clear his vision just smashes through traditional boundaries. It reveals that spirituality isn't really about rigid doctrine,
No.
but about the very act of creation, that boundless joy of seeing unity in the world and expressing that through our own unique human spirit. What, for you, really stands out about his incredibly expansive perspective?
Well, if we try and connect it all to the bigger picture, Tagore really challenges us, doesn't he? To look beyond the surface, beyond the purely material stuff.
Yeah.
And to see the deeper rhythms, the inherent unity in everything. And he's not just talking about, grand masterpieces in museums or concert halls.
Broader.
Much broader. It's about everyday life, the natural world, and maybe most profoundly about ourselves. He reminds us that the human spirit, with this innate capacity for joy, wonder, creation, it's inextricably connected to the universal, the very essence of existence. It's a really powerful call to see the world and our place in it with the fresh, maybe unjaded eyes of an artist.
It truly makes you think differently about what spiritual even means, doesn't it? It feels less about sort of passively sticking to a set of beliefs and much more about active experience, conscious expression, and being really intimately engaged with the wonder of just being here.
And that raises, I think, an important question for you listening right now. If Tagore's religion of an artist is fundamentally rooted in that joy of creation, that profound appreciation of beauty, and the deep connection to the unity of existence, how might cultivating an artistic spirit in your own life transform your understanding of purpose and meaning? And that doesn't necessarily mean becoming a painter or a poet. It could be through creating something yourself, yes, but also just deeply appreciating the beauty around you, or even just observing the world with a heightened sense of wonder. What does it truly mean at the end of the day to live your life as a work of art?